Okay, are we live? We're officially live. Yes, super excited. It's been a while. A lot of you probably thought that, hey, what happened to Live with Adriano Visagie? But we just took a little bit of a break because I was in Burkina Faso and I decided to come back. And yeah, a lot has been happening, which I'll definitely be sharing with you. But I'm super excited because today we get to feature an amazing artist. He's an actor, he's an activist, he's the starter of Drag Night Namibia. He holds so many accolades that I'm so proud to say this small town boy has definitely made it big in Namibia. So let me just put my other phone on silent. This is the phone that I'll be using to just chat a little bit with Rodelio Lewis. He's a man that has really paved the way for himself. Work hard, resilience, and that's what we'll be tapping into today. So if you do have any questions whatsoever, please get to ask Rodelio during our live session. I'm going to quickly invite him where we get to share. There's something that I also find so inspiring about this very young man is that he's worked, that is with the office of the First Lady, where he's devoured himself to say, you know what, this is who I am. I'm a small town boy and I'm going to make it really big for myself. And we're going to talk about how he really built his brand, especially with Drag Night Namibia, first of its kind. So there's a lot that we need to be proud of. So if you're joining us right about now, stick around at least for 45 more minutes. I know you've got Wi-Fi, you've got your data at home. I'm excited. So I'm going to quickly try and invite Rodelio and get to just chat a little bit with him. So Rodelio, if you can maybe just let me quickly see. Here we are. Get to drop some questions, anything that you'd love to. I saw earlier on he's got an amazing hairstyle. I'm not sure whether he did it for this live, but let's get to find out as well. So please get to share some love. Shout out to Lisa Alice, also to Geraldine, Mrs. Itana, doing amazing work as well through the UNDP. Yeah. Miss Sally Jason, thank you so much for tuning in. It's a Sunday. It's also officially Pride Week, which I'm so proud of. I'm officially wearing a Love is Love. Yeah, Rodelio.
Hi,
I was just showing off my t-shirt, hey?
I am living for this t-shirt because I was actually checking it out when you were like posting online. You were like, "This is the drip for the day." I was like, "Yes, give the
Yeah.
pride life."
Exactly, because Pride has kicked off, and I'm so excited about this year. Not necessarily because Dilo and Omar has commandeered the organizing of this year, but it just feels that there's so much purpose with Pride this year. How do you feel? First and foremost, I love your hair.
Thank you. I had to do a little some.
Yeah. Rodelio, first and foremost, I just need to thank you. I know your schedule is quite busy, yeah, hectic, and you decided, you
You
know
know,
what,
most we
during your
are those
show, you were still
ones.
going to tune in. How have you been?
I've been good. I feel like the year itself has been very challenging as a whole, but
Yeah.
like I've had like an amazing support system at all times just to like keep me going. So as much as I want to like say I'm like exhausted because I am, I'm very blessed and highly favored, and I'm very happy to be in the position that I am in.
Right. It's been a very tough year, and maybe just to little backtrack to everybody that don't know your career and maybe have not really followed your career path. Let's take a little bit back because you're this multi-talented person, and what I love about you is the fact that you have followed true to not being boxed, and I think that is what I appreciate about artists that really build themselves around a perimeter of not being boxed to say, you know what,
Mm.
I'm an actor, I'm an activist, I'm a radio personality. But before all of this started, a very young Rodelio was growing up in a coastal town. Tell us about that little journey of yours before moving to Namibia. Were you always aspiring to be bigger and to grow and grow out of Swakopmund?
So, I'm actually from Wolfish Bay. Not a lot of people know. I like to rip that I'm a coastal baby. Oh, you're drinking from the boot cup.
Yeah, but
Boot Mavis and Gigi. Um, I come from Wolfish Bay, so I'm a proud coastal baby, and I've always wanted to be an entertainer. Like the great thing about my family is we're very artistically inclined, and there was never a point where like my artistic side was ever like brought down by my family. It was rather like hyped up by them. But
Wow.
I know that the first time when I knew that this is what I wanted to do, I was in kindergarten actually, and I did a performance to Hansel and Gretel. I was in a German kindergarten, and I was like, okay, let me see what this is all about. Let me try it out. And then I was like performing with like some of my best friends who were still good friends of mine. And at the end of the performance, when the audience got up and they started clapping their hands and they were like screaming, and I mean, I was just a kid. I was like 5'4", but I was like, oh, I like the applause. I like how this feels. So like it started there, and then when I really realized that I want to be an actor, because my family, we have movie nights all the time, and there was a movie that came out the year I was born, actually, in 1995, but I only watched it many years later. And it
Yeah.
was Death Becomes Her, starring Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn. And in that movie, it was like, it's a cult classic comedy. And after
Yeah.
watching that, I was like, I think I know what I want to do, guys. I
Yeah.
really think I know. I want to be on a TV, or I want to be in front of people, and I know that I want to make people laugh, I want to make people
Yeah.
cheer, and I want to make people feel something good. So during that time, it really was like shaped and everything, and I'm always grateful for like coming from the coast, because being in like such a small place and growing up in a space where my imagination could take me anywhere it wanted to take me, I
Yeah.
really was like cultivated to think outside of the box. So I feel like it was divine intervention to live in Wolfish Bay, and I
Hmm.
think it was divine intervention just to have the family that I had and have, and as well my friends and everyone. So it was just, I feel like I was really set up for this.
Yeah. You were born into it, hey? Literally. Let's talk about, you moving to Windhoek, and here Trusco happens, because Trusco, I think, was also that step that said, you know what, Rodelio, you're stepping into
Yeah.
your destination. And maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but that was that star performance, and maybe just that push that you needed to say, you know what, this is it, as opposed to it just being
Hmm.
a dream. It's become a reality and I'm living it. Tell us about
It
like that
really, it like
transition.
honestly, it really, really was. It was like I remember like, and it's an interesting story. Like I have like two cousins, like two female cousins that are older than me. Then I have another one, and like I have a whole bunch of cousins.
Right.
And my eldest cousin, she's the one person in the family that always would like be on my case about things. And it was 2013, my matric year, and while we were busy like at a family gathering or something, she and I had like the biggest falling out. We were like fighting, and then she was like, "You know what? If you don't want to listen to me, then just go be yourself." I'm like, "Fine, I will." And then that night, I went to a birthday party, and then she called me on the phone, and she's like, "Listen, I don't want to talk to you right now, but I saw this Trusco thing, and it said acting and all of this stuff, and it sounds much like you, so I think you should do it." And I was like, "Fine, I think I will."
Yeah.
And then I checked it out, and I Googled and I did research, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually an amazing, amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
And I signed up, I went through the audition process. It's actually where I met Lisa,
Yeah.
our very good friend,
Yeah.
our very good friend.
Our mother.
And like that's literally where my journey, honestly, it started there. And Trusco to this day is one of the organizations that I will forever be so indebted to and so grateful to, because they really gave me the confidence and the capital pool to make myself understand that if I apply myself hard enough to something, I
Yeah.
can achieve anything and everything that I put my mind to. And it was always a dream of mine to go to New York City. And through the Trusco Star Performer competition, when we landed into the top 8,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to go to New York City. I received a scholarship to go study at the New York Film Academy. I got to meet some amazing people while I was in the States. And it was really just, it was a moment where I was able to say that my craft and my form of business can take me anywhere that I want it to take me if I allow it to do that, and if
Right.
I challenge myself enough to do it. So Trusco really was that thing that took me further into my destiny.
Yeah. And here, fast forward, we do a play together, which is called Lami Bekers. Again, proudly colored. I just need to emphasis on the colored
Yes.
again. And then fast forward again, 2021, we do another colored play. Let's talk a bit about confidence. And I love the fact that you mentioned confidence. And I've realized, especially within our colored community, that there's not a lot of
Mm.
confidence within our community. Let's talk about where that lack of confidence come from.
I think really it's like also something that we addressed a lot when we were busy doing the research for Putin Sis. It's just
Hmm.
it's a feeling of not knowing where we belong. And if you don't know where you belong, what do you draw from? How do you find your own identity? And
Right.
you and Lisa actually did a phenomenal poetry piece for the Ola Festival two
Yeah.
weeks ago, where you guys went to Komastyle into the space where our people are mostly scattered and like take up residence.
Yeah.
And it's really a thing of like just asking yourself that question of wie is ek? Waarvan
Mm.
af kom ek? Hoe is ek? Wat gaan aan? And for me, it was always a thing of like I never had the identity linkage back
Mm.
when I was a kid up until now only to
Yeah.
be able to say like this is who I am. I am a colored. I'm a proud queer colored man
Yeah.
living in Namibia. I'm African Namibian, and I was able to really just shape identity. And I think for a lot of colored people, because we're so used to being just these minority groups or just living according to like a specific narrative,
Yeah.
you never really get to step out of that narrative that somebody else wrote for you to
Right.
actually write your own story. And
Yeah.
I was very blessed, and I am very blessed still to be able to write my own narrative and write my own story about who I believe I am and who I want to be as I grow and change and evolve.
Mm.
And for a lot of colored people, we don't have that opportunity because your family is telling you what to do, your mom and dad are telling you what to do, the rest of your friends are telling you, nee man, Brad, jy moet dan vir jou 'n golf kry. Jy
Yeah.
moet daar by die top cheetah, hoe lyk dit dan nou? Kom ons
Yeah.
rokkie happily.
Kom ons
So it's
rock
like
up,
we've got all of these like we
yeah.
got these expectations, and when you have expectations of other people and you're trying to like fulfill those expectations by filling in those gaps, you
Mm.
fill in gaps that other people have ideas and ideologies of and not your own. So you never really get to an opportunity to really build self-confidence, self-trust, and self-worth into who it is that you are. And for the colored community, it's really a thing of like we need to sit down and really write our own stories in terms of your own life, your own narrative, your way of existence, your way of doing business, your way
Yeah.
of building a family, your way of celebrating heritage days. Because we have moments when, as colored people, we don't even know how to do that. We don't even
Yeah.
know. Is ons hier, is ons daar, is ons binne in die
Waar is
pot,
ons?
wat gaan aan?
Exactly. And
Exactly.
that
And
that sort
that
of
really,
reminds
it
me
plays
again.
with you.
Yeah, that sort of reminds me again of Butensis, especially when we were addressing the Ivers in the middle, because so many times as
Mm,
colored people, we are finding ourselves Ivers in the middle where we really don't know where we belong. And I think because of that identity, and I don't want to say it's an identity crisis, but many a times it is, because we find ourselves
yeah.
navigating to, black people, white people in between, not wanting to at times be addressed as black people and not wanting to be addressed
Mm.
as Buster or colored people, because of certain boundaries we've set for ourselves. Do you think this is also why there's this drifting support between coloreds, because they're so identityless and they're trying to fight
Mm.
this and not realizing that the fight is not towards your own brother and your own sister, but it's within ourselves? Do you think that that perhaps is also the reason why there's not so much colored support within the colored community?
I think there really, really is. Like, I
Mm.
think that is it's a big like factor to all of it because if you think about it, if you and I, for example, and Lisa also, and Roberto, aka Gigi, and then Cholkan, and all of the other colored people that we work with, Odile, et cetera, it's like
Yeah.
when we sit down and we look at all of the different colored people that are making their own stories and narratives,
Right.
it's we're stepping out of what is comfortable for us in the identityless world that we were forced into.
Yeah.
And when you look into that and you see people that are stepping out of that narrative, it leaves you feeling some type of way. Because I know for a fact when I used to watch other people that are doing things that I know I would love to do or I dream about doing, it kind of leaves you feeling like an imposter towards
Yeah.
yourself.
Mm.
And when that imposter syndrome kicks in, why must I support you? Why should I put
Mm.
myself in a position or in a place where I'm met with that energy constantly,
Yeah.
where I'm basically watching someone living out my dream, but I
Mm.
can't live out my dream because I'm busy living a dream of all these other people that are telling me this is what it's supposed to be. So I do think like that is really a big, big, big factor as to why a lot of colored people don't support a lot of colored people
How do we
because it's
change
just
that
like
narrative?
how
Sorry,
how
sorry
do
to
we change
interject
that
there,
narrative?
but how do we
No, no,
change
no.
that?
I think the best way for us to change that narrative is to just start moving into our spaces more, in
Mm.
terms of just like why I'm also referencing your Olaf performance again with Lisa, is
Yeah.
because instead of us making it inaccessible for our own people, we need to move into our spaces and not reallocate, but re-empower our own people with our own narratives and our own stories, and invite people to our colored table instead of us going to go sit at the European table or the American table or the black table or the what. It's like we're constantly sitting at other people's tables and
And not
feasting
our
there, and then we're
own.
like, no, why are the other colors not showing up? Because
Mm.
we put a chair at someone else's table that we don't actually belong at, and because
Okay.
we were allowed a moment of tolerance,
Yeah.
we became comfortable there. So it's important for us to move to places where we're building tables where colored people can show up for colored people. And I want to salute Khadija, for example, who created the song Lekker, and it's become an anthem for colored girls as well as various other girls from across the country and even in South Africa. And it's so beautiful to be able to see colored people being able to identify with something that
Yeah.
regtig colored is. And that's really just like taking the table to our people and asking our people, help me build this table so that ons saam kan sit en eet in plaas van jy net
Exactly.
sit en kyk buitekant.
Yeah. Thank you so much to everyone that's joined in on the live. Also shout out to Hermine Speaks. Rodelio, you mentioned something so important now. It's about creating that table for our colors as well.
Mm,
And in 2014, you started in your first queer form, a queer theater play. And I
mm,
know we were busy with theater play because we were moving in-house whilst you guys were about to stage
yes.
Prime Colors. And I remember when Martha interviewed us, it was on a time where we also felt, scared. I personally, talking
Mm,
for myself there, to really have an interview with Martha to talk about the queer narrative in Namibia, and especially with a film, theater play. Like, I don't know why I keep saying film, and maybe Zindra should make that a film. Uh, Prime
agreed.
Colors was so beautiful, and your portrayal of the queer boy that's being called a morphe, but then also this queer boy is having this relation with this person, with someone so close to them. How do we navigate to that, and how did that play change and transform your journey?
I think because it was also like right after we did Lami Biakas, it was the first big play that I did after that, because I remember sitting down and I actually came to Windhoek initially in 2014 to audition for Prime Colors, because
Right.
Zindri spoke to me the year prior when we met. And when I came, I had an understanding of what the play was going to be about, but I never think in that moment I could have fully grasped what it meant to play the role of Simon Armoy in Prime Colors. And it was really
Mm.
a play that took me out of my own comfort zone and really like forced me into a position of like seeing myself and being able to gauge how I see myself. And I constantly say that heteronormativity is a construct and queerness lives in every single person. There's an element of queernism in everyone because we both have the divine masculine and feminine energy inside of us, because we're all born female first, and then because of a chromosome you're a man or a woman. It's like there's just one little piece of
Yeah.
scientific evidence that changes you. And
Yeah.
that must make us understand that both energies are inside of you. And Simon Ormoy was a very, very flamboyant character that was
Right.
bigger than life and walked in and demanded attention. And at that time, I wasn't very much like that. I was still very meek. I was still very like trying to figure out, okay, is this what I'm doing? Is this what I'm doing? And stepping onto the stage, Simon really gave me the confidence, or as I like to say at times, the Gayfidence, to really just like step into my own essence and become something that I could become proud of and someone that I could become proud of. And it also allowed me to really like gauge what my queer energy is about. And I always say, like, as actors, we have the most amazing job, because as much as we're healing other people, we're also healing ourselves, and we're getting to understand ourselves more, because you find bits and pieces of yourself in characters. And I could
Yeah.
find pieces of myself within Simon. And also at the same time, I could discard pieces of who I thought I was and
Mm.
identify who I actually am. So Simon really it was the second production that I did at the National Theatre and in Namibia. Lamibiekis being the first, also playing a queer role, also a
Yeah,
colored queer, and then moving straight into Prime Colors and then playing a colored queer again, but in a different
yeah,
narrative from a different aspect. It really gave me the opportunity to see myself more because I never saw myself in that
yeah,
light. I always just knew like, no, we are a little bit, we are there, we are,
yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
small, small.
it really like, you game was, it really
Yeah,
just gave me like a sense of belonging and a sense of self to the point where after the production, when we were talking to like Martha as well that Sunday at Spur
yeah,
actually, because we're sitting on that balcony,
yeah.
and we were all just
Can I
sharing
just
our
say that?
stories.
I remember how scared we were that we wanted it to be at a very seclusive space because of the
Yes.
fear. And I look back at that and I ask myself, why? Why were we that scared to really talk to someone that we knew was a journalist that's going to publish the story?
Mm,
But there was so much fear of saying, hey, we're meeting queer people, queer boys are going to meet Martha at this specific space. But before you answer that,
mm,
Hermine has a question here and she says, how do you feel about people seeing you taking back your power as a threat to their own? And also, what you're simply taking back is just your own power and you. So maybe just share that. Lisa has a question here that says, how do we justify wanting to live abundantly but having the weight of generational depression and oppression? That is so, so, so powerful.
mm.
Maybe just those two questions, Rodelio.
Okay, I'll jump into Lisa's one first
Yeah.
because it kind of like filled my brain now, and I was like, "Oh, Hermine, I'm gonna get back to yours just now." I think the first thing that we can just do, or not the first thing, but the main thing that we should do is we need to be conscious of it. It's a type of thing where if you allow yourself to be unconscious to the aspects of what makes you a human being in terms of being colored, in terms of being generationally like depressed and oppressed, if we're not conscious to where we come from, or we're not conscious of the history of how we became to who we are today, if you're
Mm,
unconscious of that, you will always have a moment of disconnect. There will always be a part of you that does not allow yourself to fully become. You will never be able to fully be abundant within yourself or within your community if you don't allow yourself to be conscious of the past traumas. The only
yeah,
way for you to actually deal with those traumas also is when you start realizing what it is and you allow yourself to work through it instead of being
yeah,
afraid and walking away from it. And it's literally what we're talking about now as well with the Martha interview. That was a fear that we had, and we were conscious to it, and we
yeah.
made a conscious decision to no longer be unconscious about it and step out and speak out about it. And
Right.
it's the same way why Butensis to this day for me is one of the most ambitious productions that the National Theatre has done as of late, because what it did was it also gave us an opportunity once again to speak the truth of the colored narrative. It gave
Absolutely.
us the opportunity to go into and speak about what it is that makes us who we are. And if we don't acknowledge
Mm,
that, if we ignore it constantly, there will be no abundance, because you can't grow from death. You need to grow from a living point. And the only way for you to grow from life is by working. It's by working the ground, working the soil, taking those pieces and just mushing it around and understanding that while you're doing the grunt work, while you're doing all of that effort, while you're being a work in progress, you're
yeah,
actually allowing the soil to become fertile for something to grow from it. And the less we do that, the less abundant we are. But the more we do that, the more conscious we are about it, the more we grow.
wow, I'm
And then
just
Hermine's
grabbing all
question.
these. I'm just taking it all in, honestly. Yes, like Nadia just said now, and Hermine, preach, because you're really giving it all, and I think that is so true. We need to acknowledge it. You know, it's Hermine and I spoke earlier this week, and we said that you can't recognize something, you can't wanting to grow, you can't say I want to move from the coast, from Warfish Bay, and be the performer that I want to be, and really not
Mm,
have that leap of faith, because you need to grow from a reality and a
yes.
space, just like you did, just like the leap of faith you took on yourself. to say, you know what, guys, this is my career and this is what I want. And there were all these, influence, whether it was a TV, whether it was Lisa, whether it was that moment that said, Trusco, here I come, I'm going to New York. Let's quickly answer Hermine's question, because I think that is so, so, so vital. And especially in the time that we're at now, I'm going to just repeat that. She's asking, how do you feel about people seeing you taking back your power as a threat to their own? And when you're simply just taking back your very own power?
Personally, I have this thing where I don't like to anymore where I am now in life and choosing peace over violence more and more often. I have this, one of my philosophies in life is I only believe in two things, and that's love and the absence of love. And the absence of love is malice. So whatever you see as an absence of love, if you're operating from a place of that spectrum, you need to understand that there is no love. There is no return on investment on what it is that you're giving out to the world. And because I don't want to operate in a space of malice when it comes to people that are upset or that are feeling some type of way because of me taking my power back, or you taking your power back, or anyone taking back power from an oppressive time. It's like the word morphe for me, for example. You can say that word to me at any given point with any type of energy behind your voice, and to me it will still just be a word of empowerment. It doesn't phase me because it comes from a space of knowing myself. It comes from a space of understanding that no matter what someone else feels or thinks, that has nothing to do with me. That's an internal struggle that they have, that they're dealing with, because I'm conscious of myself to the point where if someone says something, like if someone has to throw a word like morphe at me and it affects me in a non-loving way, then I know that I have work to do. So when someone else comes towards me with an energy that speaks from a place of non-love, then I'm like, you have work to do. That's a you scenario. And I can only continue doing what I'm doing because obviously what I'm doing is affecting this comfortable space that you're in, that allows you to just brush away things that you know is not right. When people discriminate or oppress certain types of people, you know then that there is something inside of you that you need to work on. So for me, when people have like a backlash moment, or even just when I have a no scroll rule, but I have a habit of scrolling through the comments, especially after a drag night, whenever I read those comments, instead of me feeling negative emotions, it's become a thing of like, it's really the firewood to like what keeps me going. I thrive, and that's weird to say, but I thrive off of people's comment, whatever it may be it positive, be it negative, whatever it looks like, whatever people say. If they're coming from a place of negativity, then I know clearly my job is not done yet. It only gives me more revelation into the fact that what we're doing is, it's causing change, it's creating change, it's creating a space where people no longer can live in this bubble of, oh, we're just going to pretend like queer people don't exist, or we're just going to pretend like this and this isn't a normal thing and just move on. If I'm not shaking up the foundation of normality to give people an open space to grow anything and everything that gives love and gives prosperity, what am I doing? So for me personally, when people have moments like that, it's empowering. It's the most empowering thing whenever I'm met with that kind of energy, because I'm just like, thank you. Clearly I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to keep doing it until you feel some type of way again next week, Friday.
Yes! Honestly, Rodelio, I'm listening to you and I'm taking it all in, and it's like Hermine says here, you're bringing the flames, and I'm gonna say this many a times, with my Instagram live, and I think I need to put it out there. It's not necessarily just someone that I want to just say, just come on, just come talk, but I've seen your growth exponentially. And your growth exponentially has not just been, like I said when we started this interview, it's just how you've gravitated to not being boxed, to not being said, you know what, Rodelio is just an actor. No, do you know that he's actually in studio right now? Do you know that he's an activist? Do you know that this very same man, yes, you can actually do that to your hair. Okay, mine is not as long as yours, but do you know that this man has actually started Drag Night Namibia? And that has become such a space where people can from all walks of the rainbow, this very same rainbow, can just gravitate to
That
and say,
very same rainbow.
Yeah, I might not be queer. but I form part of the Ella
Mm.
and I want to be here. It's such a safe space. And last year, especially with Boot and Sis, we were really talking about safe spaces. And thank you so much to Lisa, who's also on the live, that has gravitated and created a space where we could also feel safe and has really nurtured us to saying, guys, this is you, I'm molding you, Khan. You, Rodelio, I'm molding you,
Mm.
Hui. You, Chokan, you, Gigi, I'm molding you. And she's done that with so many artists. And just look at you, Huiing, in
Yes.
the world. You Huiing and you just doing your thing. Let's talk about Drag Night Namibia. How, just wow. Can I just say this again? Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Honestly, it's you, every theme, every attendance, every time I show up, it's amazing. It keeps growing bigger and better. And I think it is so important in the day and age that it's a form of art. It's a form of not just performances, but the very same queer child that's at home can come and say, you know what, there's a space for me. There's a space that I feel safe.
Yes.
There's a space that, you know what, I pay that $100, but I'm also having fun and I'm being an advocate. What does Drag Night Namibia all in all mean to you and the platform, especially for those that come, especially for those that perform? And maybe if there's someone listening and watching now that has never been on this platform, to really say, you know what, guys, here we are. We've started this thing. We need you to start saying, we want you to sponsor Drag Night Namibia.
So, Drag Night Namibia, it's like it kind of did take a life on of its own. I've always known that I've wanted to give back to people. I've always wanted to make people feel something, and I've always wanted to never let anyone feel what I felt or what you felt when we were growing up in spaces where we weren't allowed to be ourselves. And I
Yeah.
always said that I remember being a kid and waiting for my parents to leave the house to go to work. And then I would sit in the living room, play my music, and I would dance, put a t-shirt on my head, and that would be my hair. Now I get real hairs that I can put in. And it's like, it was this beautiful fantasy world that I was able to create for myself. And I always go back to that. And it's like it's my living room of freedom, and every single time I think about that living room where I was just so free and able to create whatever fantasy world I wanted, it gave me a sense of belonging, it gave me a sense of freedom, and it gave me a sense of I can be anything I want to be. And
Mhm.
Drag Night first, before it even became Drag Night Namibia, it went through many, many different ways and forms of how I wanted it to be expressed and come into fruition. And there was a time when I was trying to write a production, I was trying to write a play, and I was like, oh, child, this is not my tea, this is not my scene. Rodelio Lewis is not a writer yet. I'm gonna get there eventually,
Yeah.
don't worry. But I wanted it to be a play, and I wanted it to be on the backstage theater. And I spoke to Zindri, and I spoke to so many people, and then I was like, okay, cool, this isn't working. Then you came up and then you performed as Tina, and you gave us just Tina, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to write a play. I can literally just put on a show.
Yeah.
Then I sat down and I tried to like figure out how I could step into a light where I could just do a show. And then there was never really an opportunity for me to actually step into that space because I was looking around and there was never a moment where I could just be like, okay, this is mine. I still had to operate in other people's spaces. And
Yeah.
Lisa was actually the second person that allowed me to be Miss Mavis.
Yeah.
She actually we did this amazing corporate gig where we performed as the Greatest Showman, and I was the bearded lady in this gorgeous green dress that is of course Thule's trick farewell dress, and I was like, oh, child, I'm looking good. I was feeling my Mavis essence, and that
Yeah.
was the first time I performed in drag for corporate clients. Then we
Yeah.
did the Love Yourself campaign with Priscilla, not the drag one, but like the queer one that she did, like I think 3 years ago in 2017.
Yeah.
And when we did that one, she was like, we're gonna have a party now the following weekend, and I was like, okay, cool. I would like to perform as Mavis, though. I don't want to show up as Rodelio. I want to give Mavis a moment. And I performed in drag, and you were also there. And you actually even
Yeah.
told me afterwards, you were like, you know, I really like what you did, but I wasn't seeing the zhoosh. I wasn't seeing the. And I was like, okay, he didn't see the zhoosh because there was no zhoosh. So I was like, how do I make drag impactful enough to a point where I can
Mm.
make people also just experience a level of freedom and a level of true being? And I sat down and I started to conceptualize, and I was like, okay, I looked at what Lisa did with Song Night, and I was like, I like the format. I like the format. And then I looked at what Ashwin and Barry did with The Gathering, and I'm like, I like that format as well. And I'm like, these two formats are very similar to each other, and it really did create like the space where people could just be artists. And
Right.
then during Booking Sis, I sat with the idea, I sat with the energy, and I didn't know exactly how or when it would happen. And then we met Cholkan, who came from Europe at the time, back to Namibia, and we kind of like made this synergy happen between him, myself, you, and Gigi. And we were like, okay, I like this energy. And then
Yeah.
Lisa and I sat down and we spoke at one point. And I really need to, guys, like, we need to all give Lisa Ellis like a round of applause, because this is a woman that really,
Can we
she
do
launched
that
my
right
career in,
now?
like, really, guys, really. Because this is a
Everyone
woman
on
that has
this
been
live,
with me
just
since the
send
beginning
an
of my
orange
career.
heart if you can. Just type in an orange heart, because that's Lisa Alice's favorite
Yes.
color. That's her birthstone. Type in an orange heart and just comment with an orange heart. Lisa has done, and I'm so glad that we are able to just reflect on the amazing work Lisa Alice has
Mm,
done. Artist of the Year 2019. She has given so much. It's a woman
mm,
that you and I can both say whose shoulders we've cried on, who
yes.
has nurtured so much. She has just shown so much love, and she's created. She's created us who we are.
Yes.
Lisa is a friend and a
Yes.
mother to
Very
everyone,
much.
honestly. So even if you're in this live, please go follow Lisa Alice right now. Am I?
Please do, guys. Go now. Go now. Go stream all of her albums on iTunes and Spotify. Go listen to Black.
Exactly.
It's one of my favorite songs from way back in the day. Go give the woman the love and respect she deserves. Y'all need to
Exactly.
stop with this.
Yeah.
Love her. Love her. Because she's really just
Rodelio,
like, she's really like the mother of the industry, man. She's like, in my
exactly.
world, and I'm pretty sure in yours and many others, she's a mother of the industry to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much to Lisa. Rodelio, coming back to you, you've won an award. Can we also just acknowledge that? National Theatre Actor. Can we just acknowledge that? I'm so proud, and I need to say this again, just, uh, yeah, it's so true. So I had to read what Tatum was saying. Pluk no atran,
What did Tatum say?
van pluk no no atran, because that is so true. You just really reflect on the work Lisa Alice has done, and
Mm,
you want to cry. You want to cry because you're proud, and you're like, where's the National Arts Museum? Where's that museum? Where's that Walk of Fame? Where is that Star Fame, where we can say, boom, we're stamping Lisa Alice on
yes,
there, because she's a Namibian legend. It's her work
she
speaks
is.
for itself, and Lisa Ellis is the reason why many of us as creatives are following in the path of our footsteps, and on this journey where
Mm.
we want to really just gravitate to really fully doing what we do because of her. So thank you so much. Ngiyabonga. Bye, danke, Lisa. Rodelio, coming back to you, you're winning this award, the magic that happens after winning a National Theatre Award. Then, with the last awards, you get nominated as Best Newcomer. How did these moments really transition your life as an actor, as a performer, as someone that says, you know what, I'm not giving up on my journey? Because here you're finding yourself
Mm.
as a radio personality. You've also moved into different spaces of being on billboards, being a voiceover artist. That consistency has been there. How do you do that?
Well, I will say this, and I had this conversation with a friend of mine recently, and I was like, one thing I want people to know is that when it comes to scheduling and like when it comes to structure, I'm very crazy. I'm a little bit crazy, guys. I'm a little bit crazy.
I've worked
I
with you, so
literally
I
have,
know.
you've experienced this. So it's like I don't know where it comes from, but it's like this need for like output. And even like whenever we do productions, like I have a habit of like learning everyone's lines simultaneously while I learn my own lines, so that
Yeah,
if there's a moment where anyone forgets, then I'm like, okay, I'm a serial improvise real quick, slip in here and just give you like a little so that you know. Then I might even
yeah,
only have to like speak 5 lines later, but I'm like, it's okay, guys. I know the lines. I know everyone's cues. I know everything, because it's structure is something that's very important to me. And I have like every single day of my life is structured to be a specific type of something, because I see
yeah,
myself as a conglomerate. I see myself as a multifaceted being. I have Mondays where I'm strictly doing only acting things. Tuesdays I strictly do meditations. Wednesdays I focus mainly on my social media things. So every single day I give a different hat, basically,
Yeah.
where I allow myself to focus as much energy on that specific thing. And it really just comes down to scheduling. And it's one of my favorite quotes in life is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So
That's
I've like got that in my brain 24/7, to the point where I'm like, my Google Calendar is insane. It's
yeah.
literally insane, to the point where I have my when I have to brush my teeth, guys, it's scheduled. It's scheduled when I'm brushing teeth. It's scheduled when I'm going to eat. It's scheduled when
Yeah.
I'm going to see my family and friends. Like, everything is super, super structured. And it's even at the point where whenever I deviate from that, I start to see chaos in my life. And then I'm like, we're going back to the schedule, guys. We're back to the schedule. And
Yeah.
it really helps so much to put that foundation down for yourself, because it also just it comes back to the point of just taking yourself seriously and like seeing yourself as a business, because a business has
Yeah.
a business plan and a business structure. And if you don't have that for yourself, and you don't have something to consistently rely on in terms of, this is how we do it, then you're not going to really understand. You're just going to like ping pong life. And I don't want to be a ping pong player. I'm trying
Yeah.
to win a grand slam here. I'm trying to be Venus and Serena Williams out here. I'm trying to win myself to the point where I can look back and be like, I'm better than Rodelio from yesterday. I'm better than
Yeah.
Rodelio from 3 weeks ago. And I'm constantly evolving myself towards a goal of serendipity and just like true euphoria. Because I just want to get to a point where I'm happy and content with my life. And I'm very content. But to get there, I know that there's work that needs to be done, and I understand, and I'm conscious of that responsibility, that if you want something, you need to work. Hard work beats talent
Absolutely.
when talent doesn't work hard. And I know I'm
Yeah.
talent, and I know we're all talent, but if we don't work hard, it's not gonna happen. So,
It's not going to happen. Now, talking about it happening on the 3rd of December, November actually. I almost said December. Did I say 3rd
no,
December?
December, you had it right the first time.
Okay, 3rd of December. We're in November, but okay. 3rd of December, this is the last drag night happening, right? For the year.
Yes.
Are we having a drag night during Pride?
Yes, we're actually scheduled within the Pride like calendar. So we're
Yeah.
doing a Friday drag night, so that we're like also like kind of closing down our first cycle, which I honestly have to say, like, to every single person that showed up throughout like all the first 7 volumes up until like
Yeah.
now, who will be showing up for volume 8,
Yeah.
thank you guys. Because like, you've literally propelled us to a point where every single volume has to be bigger and better than the last one. Like, we've literally got this amount of pressure on our shoulders, and we can feel the weight many
Yeah.
times. But why I always say that Drag Night is a village. It literally takes a village to make Drag Night. Without
Yeah.
Lisa, without Hanan, without Jonathan, without Gigi, without Cholkan, without Zindri, without Kevin, without Hendrik, without every single person that is working on the project itself, it wouldn't
Yeah.
happen. And without our sponsors like Lefa, Dololo that just jumped on, Kulan from Pencil Casting,
Yeah.
Ashante with Distinctive Art, like, without all of these amazing people believing in the dream and
Right.
seeing what it is, we would not be where we are. And we're at a point now where we have double shows in a month, where we're booking people for corporate clients as drag queens. And we just wrapped up on Friday night. The Triad actually had a performance at Hovember with Lioness, which was also just another one of those safe spaces. And to understand that we're in a point now where our activism is seen as creating safe spaces and seen as an ally, it feels very good to understand that the work that we're putting in is being seen for what it truly is. And it's
Yeah.
all about creating safe spaces and creating a bubble of togetherness for everyone. So
Yeah.
I'm always gonna say I'm very blessed and highly favored, and I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for everyone that's just like given us a piece of their magic to make what we're doing what it is. And I am not able to do everything I'm doing without the amazing people that stand behind me and stand next to me and stand in front of me. It's
Right.
really it's a village of people. And this Friday's drag night is going to be very emotional, very like intense, because it's going to be a 2 month break, because we're only coming back in February. So I'm like, I'm sad to a degree, but at the same time I'm so ready to hang my heels up, guys.
Yeah.
I've never been this active in the industry. I've never done so many performances in every single month. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, whew, I'm ready to rest. I'm ready to
Yeah. The
rest.
face bit also wants to just like, Jay, we need to rest, you know? Uh, I'm just going to read this
Miss
from
J
Nadia
knows what
Key.
she's doing, guys. She
Yeah.
just woo.
Nadia Key says here, you know, Drag Night is a dream night. You will never understand that the voice you gave to the voiceless. And I think that is so true. And, you know, like you said, you know, it's about growing this platform for the very first time. Yes, a lot of people might think, you know, oh, it's just drag. But listen,
Mm,
if you're in a country where it's not being recognized, if you're in a country where, you know, voices of queer people are being silenced all the time, and
yeah,
we use art as a way and a form of expression, then you would understand the appreciation where people really come out and say, RuPaul can perform and have an entire show and earn an Oscar and a Grammy for you know, for RuPaul's Drag Race, and we're
for drag
starting that with
artistry.
that in Namibia now only, and you are commandeering that, and we are so proud of you. I need to reiterate this. I was sitting in Burkina Faso, and I was really online just watching you do Drag Night, and this time you guys really took the cat out of the hat with all those
Yeah.
performances. I just saw you in the air. You know, I was like, I want to be there, but also I'm here bonjouring, and but I'm so proud. I'm coming back to just being really proud of you. I want to jump into, you know, the performing arts. Where do you see the arts growing in Namibia? Because, you know, ultimately you're creative, you're an artist. Do you feel that despite Drag Night and despite art in itself in Namibia, that art is really supported? And when I say supported, I'm really talking about corporate, I'm talking about government. Supported,
Mm,
but also respected. And when we say art is respected, we're not just saying everyone sees Gaza and they respect Gaza because he's a musician,
mm,
because music is not the only form of art.
exactly. I think what we've noticed within the last couple of years, and both of us have been in the industry since way back. And within like we're both making almost like 10 years plus now in the industry. And what I can say honestly is where we started and where we are currently, there has been a very big change. There's been
Mm,
a progressive change. We still have a lot of work that needs to be done. There's still a lot of understanding that still needs to be cultivated. And I think it just all comes back down to being conscious as artists.
yeah,
We can't expect people to respect our art forms if we don't respect it ourselves. And
right,
that's where that whole thing comes in with like the reason why Volume 7, for example, of Dragnet was such a success is because there was planning put into it, there was respect put into it, there was
mm,
a level of understanding that Lisa brought to us where she was like, in order for us to achieve what we want, we need to put in the hours. We need to make people
right,
conscious of the work that we're doing. And when it comes to art in general, if we just sit around and play around with it, it's never going to elevate to the point where it's seen as an actual commodity within our country. Because
right,
if we really look at it, when people come as tourists to any foreign country, they come watch shows. They want to come have
yeah,
an essence and understanding of what the culture is all about. And culture is very well articulated through art. Because
right,
I also have this thing where I did a speech, not a speech, but like a workshop, like I think 2 years ago, where I was talking about art as the universal language. And
yeah,
everything that we do as human beings is art. The fact that I'm
yeah,
able to speak, the fact that you're able to speak, we're manipulating sound and creating words. That's a form of art. You're singing, but you're
expression,
talking. The fact that we're writing, you have a handwriting that I don't have. That's your form of drawing. You're able
mm,
to like shape it into a box of what people need us to do it so that they can understand it and make it more palatable. But it's still unique art. There is no thing that people create that isn't art. And when we shift back into a world where we understand that as children, we teach children through colors, we teach children through music, we teach children through make believe. It's all art. And
yeah,
when we come back to a point where we're not just living in this weird capitalistic state of commodifying everything and owning and buying and taking and stealing and what when we move back into a place where we're organic within ourselves and we're honest with ourselves, we can all come to a point where we don't just appreciate art, but we understand it and respect it to a point where it can be taken to the next level. Because
yeah,
I honestly feel like I don't have to leave my home country. I always had this thing
yeah,
where I was like, I need to fly to America to make it as an artist, la 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 la. And
yeah,
within the last 10 years, I've come to a point where I'm like, I don't have to go anywhere. I can stay
yeah,
right here and I can own my ish everywhere in the world without ever having to go. Why do I need to go prove myself in a different country if I
Elsewhere.
can't even do it in
Absolutely.
my own home country? If I can't grow the art scene here and make people that look like us, that think like us, that have similar backgrounds like us, see that you can make it right here. You don't have to sell yourself short with this imaginary imagination of if I
Absolutely.
don't go there, I never make it.
Right.
We need to regrow the forest of entertainment and not just the
Yeah.
gardens of entertainment,
Yeah.
because you have a garden, I have a garden, but your garden can only feed so many people. If we
Yeah.
are not watering the forest of entertainment, we will have a moment where it's going to die out. So we
Exactly.
need to respect the
Absolutely.
collective.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you that. And I want to come back to maybe just taking us on a journey of, during this pandemic where, I think we can all attest to having lost people, having gone through a dip. And what tell us a little bit about a dip that you went through, and that dip has really just changed your mind, your outlook on life. I know during Butensis, uh, 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 we had an amazing time on that production, but also so many COVID scares because,
Mm,
there was a COVID scare that you had, and we were doing online rehearsals with you from the green room, and it was a weird space, but also a space
mm.
that allowed us to really gravitate and find ourselves in what has been a very scary moment, especially during this past 2 years for you, and maybe not just this 2 years, but a journey on your life that you felt, what, Rodelio, this is probably one of those lowest moments in my life. And
Mm.
because of that mountain, you decided, what, I'm able to climb this mountain and look at where you are now.
I think, and I'm going to use like the pandemic because it's like the most like it's the freshest thing to have touched on like that part of the like my dip part because
Yeah,
I live in Windhoek now. I moved to Windhoek,
yeah,
so I'm not with family. I'm away from everything that's familiar to me. I'm away from my safe space. I'm away from my safety blanket. So I've kind of had to figure out a way to create my own safety blanket within living in Windhoek. And 2 years ago, I actually moved out. My sister and I, we used to live together. And in 2018, I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, 2018,
yeah,
I, for the first time, moved into my own apartment and I lived by myself. And COVID really like took me trying to find my own independence into a point where it kind of like shot me through the ceiling. It
yeah,
made me like catapult through it because I very quickly understood how lonely it actually is being in this industry, being in this career path, being
yeah,
away from family, being away from friends, and then also at the same time being boxed into just being in Windhoek with
yeah,
the amount of fear that we all had because there was no way for me to go to my own family without thinking I'm endangering them. There was no way for me to go to friends without thinking that, oh my gosh, what if I get COVID from you? What if I give you COVID because I'm also an asthmatic? And
yeah,
there were so many things constantly playing in my mind, and my imposter syndrome really it attacked me to the point where on the set of Butensis, there was a day when we were sitting for the first day of filming and I was in Miss J's makeup chair.
yeah,
And while I was sitting there, everything that's been going on kind of just like flushed into me at once. And I had a full on nervous breakdown and I couldn't control myself. My face started to vibrate. I started to, it was a lot for me to deal with. And it's really just the thing of like, I have this thing where loneliness in terms of being away from family, it mentally affects me to the point where I kind of have to be my own biggest supporter at all times. And it's very
yeah.
difficult to do that at times when you don't really have anyone in your corner that's like hurrahing you on. And
Mm,
sometimes we have friends that do that. We have like amazing people that are like wonderful support. But then at sometimes I'm just like also like, are you just doing this because you're my friend? And like it's kind of like what
yeah.
friends do. Like, are you actually being real with me? And it's a
Mm,
lot of internal like like mentally it took a big toll on me to the point where I became very depressed, and still to this day I actually just have to quickly take my charger, guys, just give me 1 second. um
and I want to maybe ask and
I
add to that because I can relate to a bit of what you mentioned, especially in the sense of having to question the real people and those that you're able to really fully be vulnerable with, and not them
mm,
having to use that vulnerability as something negative to sort of make you look weak. If it's something I can
yeah.
add to, so I hear what you're saying on that one. Rodelio, we almost have time to say goodbye because I think we can only go for an hour. Last words to
Yeah.
those that show up for you, those that want to walk into your shoes, those that say, you know what, I want to come perform at Drag Night. Since it's Pride Week, hashtag Happy Pride Week to everyone. Your message to
Happy
your
Pride Week,
supporters.
guys. I think the only thing I want to say to everyone that like supports and that have been supporting is first and foremost, thank you for thank you for the support. First and foremost, thank you for the support. But in the same breath, thank you for reaching out and for not making me feel like an alien to a degree. Thank you for
Mm,
still giving me the understanding that the work that we're doing is work that is actually really changing lives. And
yeah,
if you too yourself want to do the exact same thing, feel free to contact me at any point. I have this big thing where I'm very accessible to a degree when I'm on social media. And in my
yeah,
personal capacity, if you ever run into me, I might not even like smile. I might just be like, mm. But it's just because I'm like very shielded and I need to like constantly keep everything together on the inside. But when it comes to anyone that reaches out for anything, be it you need help or you want to just talk to someone, at any given point, jump onto social media, send me a message. If I don't respond immediately, I will respond eventually, and I will come to anyone's table if they need it because
yeah,
I know what it feels like, and that's why I was even saying like that feeling of loneliness. It's really just the thing of the work that I do today is it's work that I don't want anyone else to have to go through. I'm trying to build bridges so that people don't have to experience all of the things that I had to experience that I know for a fact it's not fair that anyone has to go through that. So
right.
if you need to speak, if you want an ear to listen to, if you want to perform at drag night, even if you just want to like help out at drag night,
Yeah,
just say it. Say the word and we can see what we can do and we can see how we can work together. I'm a big person on collaborations. I love collaborating because it's the only way I can grow as well. And
yeah,
someone, I think it was Hermine, or someone said something about a voice for the voiceless.
yeah.
And I actually spoke to my grandmother about that the other day. And I was, as an actor, we
That
breathe
was
life into
Nadia Key.
characters and we become the voice of,
Yeah,
was it Tanya?
Nadia Key.
Yes. So it's like I've come to a point where I no longer want to be a voice for the voiceless. I want to be a microphone so that you can find your own voice. I want to be
Mm,
a person and a platform that can be used to amplify people's voices because I feel like everyone has a story, everyone has a journey that is so unique to
absolutely.
them that it will never exist again, and it's your right to tell your story because you know how it is. You know it best. I can't tell your story for you, but I can
Right.
help you get to the point where your voice and your story is heard. So if you ever need that, holla at your girl. Come through,
Yeah.
baby. We can make the pots to be done.
Rodelio, I got mad love for you in Afrikaans sê ons luister hier kleerie lang jong. Ek is fucking trots op jou. So thank you so much.
Thank you
And
guys.
proud to everyone that has just joined now, please note that I'll be saving the video. Rodelio, to you and the next endeavors, especially with the next drag night, the final one for the year. All the best with the preps. I'm definitely there. I'm also,
Yes.
yeah, so I'll see you on Friday. Yeah, Friday. Let me just see my
Yes.
calendar. That's Friday. Yeah, Friday.
Please check that calendar because I know that calendar is busy.
Yeah, it
You are
is.
out here
No, I,
booking
I just have to check
flights,
because Kapana is
going
on the 1st, which is the Wednesday.
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm coming through because it's all part of Pride Week and we're definitely coming to support you as well.
Thank you so much. En Adriano, ek wil ook net vir jou sê, in Afrikaans, in 'n plat Afrikaans.
Okay.
Chommy, dankie vir wat jy doen. Van jy gee vir almal 'n opportunity neem om hulle self te wees. Dankie dat jy dit doen. Dankie dat jy jou authenticity nog nooit neergebring het nie. Thank you that you're
Baie
always just
dankie.
yourself. It's really so important for us to see colored people taking up space. And when it comes to colored actors in the film world, you've really, really, really shaped everything into a way where it is possible for anyone that is colored, that is queer, that is other. You have created a space and an understanding this moontlik. Thank you for that. Thank you for creating that space. Thank you for taking up space. And thank you for owning the space that you took up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rodelio. Okay. See you
I
soon.
love you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you so much to everyone that's tuned in. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Also note that I will be saving the video right now. So if you've not caught up with it, please make sure that you catch up with it. Also on the 1st, tomorrow I'll be announcing the winner of the person that will be joining me on Wednesday at the Kapana not premiere, but screening that's happening at the Village. So if you want to come watch Kapana absolutely for free, Wednesday at the Village, Opera